Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of RaceLine. I'm Rick Benjamin. RaceLine produced, of course, in conjunction with our friends at frontstretch.com. It was more than 2 years ago now that Shane van Gisbergen popped onto the NASCAR Cup Series scene with a huge bang, going to victory lane in his first ever start on the streets of Chicago. Well, for me, that brought to mind a discipline in NASCAR racing a couple of decades old at least, the concept of the road course ringer, a driver who was a road course expert who would come in and run maybe just the 2 or 3 road course races in any given year. Well, going back a few years, one of the very best to ever do that was a driver named Ron Fellows. He is our guest on this week's edition of RaceLine. Pride of Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Good to see you on the porch there, young man.
Good to be seen, Mr. Benjamin. Great to see you.
There's a lot of things we want to cover, a lot of ground. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we do. We go back quite a while.
Yeah, we do. When I start looking through my past notes from past years and I see Trans Am dates in the 90s, the races you ran back then, I know it has been a while, but it doesn't seem that long sometimes.
And sometimes it does.
Yes, it does. That is true, too. You have got one of the most varied resumes in this sport. A lot of people know you most recently from your years with Corvette Racing and American Le Mans, IMSA. You ran Le Mans, 7 or 8 times? Championships, 20 race wins, I think it is, in American Le Mans back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So great history there. But right now, I want to talk to you first about your days in NASCAR, which a lot of people may not remember. I remember them very well. You were you were on fire in Trans Am back in those times. You had 20 Trans Am wins. You and Tommy Kendall waged some amazing battles back in those days. You and your Camaro, Kendall and his Mustang. And then you got selected to be one of the original road course ringers in the NASCAR Cup Series. How did that come along?
It was really a result of winning a truck race, winning the Craftsman Truck Series race at Watkins Glen in August of '97, and then I got a call from Joe Nemechek and Brian Patty. I think it was in December of '97 to race in what was then the Busch Series for them, and it just kind of steamrolled from there. But yeah, no, the truck win in '97 was the building block for getting opportunities, and it was a pretty small effort with the late Billy Hess and had K-Tech motor and pretty small crew, but we had a Billy built a really good truck, and we had Alcon brakes that worked really well and managed to I had help from AER and Buzz McCall, who he helped to organize the motor with K-Tech. So it was a putting a lot of pieces together to make it happen, and managed to bag a win. Winning with Nemco and working with Brian Patty from '98 through 2000, where we won, I think, three Busch Series races and another truck race. That led to cup opportunities, first with Buzz McCall, and then Nemco, and then it was DEI, and but the entire time it was Chevy, so I was never in anything else but a Chevy. Yeah, got to race for Kevin Harvick at that point would have been the Nationwide Series, and then Dale Jr. Managed to win a race for Dale Jr. Did not get one for DEI, but we came close. But there were some certainly at the Cup level, some great opportunities also with Cal Wells in the Tide car, Hall of Fame racing with Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman. That was another coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Back in those times, I want to talk to you about things like that because, first of all, did you come along maybe 20 years too early for this? Because when you look at what Shane van Gisbergen has done, winning 5 of the 6 road course races this year, now there's a lot more road course races, as you mentioned. You could have been that guy if you'd had those opportunities.
I was already a little bit older than Shane van Gisbergen. When I won I was 40 years old in 1997. So yeah.
Ancient, just ancient. My God.
However, I don't have any regrets. I was never, Shane has the opportunity, to run full time. That makes a big difference. And, I think
Yeah.
I will say that his footwork and mine are identical. I just,
Hmm.
yeah,
How you
yeah.
operate the clutch, the
I
brake, and
always
the
use the
throttle
clutch
pedal.
downshifting, again to avoid the dreaded axle hop. Well, anyway, we can talk on the technical side another time, but it's essentially it's a much, I'll call it, safer way to do the downshifting, avoid axle hop, and you can time the downshifts better, and also you can also help when you're going from the gear you have to the next gear down, and you use the clutch and are to get a solid blip on the throttle. You can start the downshifting a little bit sooner. You can actually use the engine to help slow you down, and I always found that I could run a little bit more rear brake because I was not concerned about axle hop. So anyway,
Yeah. And, and you make the powertrain a
true.
lot
I
happier
think
when you
so.
use the
Yeah, I
clutch, I
didn't use
think,
the
right?
clutch
Yeah.
upshifting all the time, but generally, like always downshifting. So
But when
yeah,
you see what he's been able to accomplish today, and you say, yes, you didn't have
right,
the opportunity to run
right.
full
Yeah,
time, you
no,
were
I was
busy with
quite
a lot
happy
of
with
other
what I was doing.
disciplines
Yeah,
in those times. Yeah. But when you look at it, and I know you
mm-hmm.
had the skills behind the wheel. I mean, you showed that for 30 some years. Would you like to have had a chance to run full time in the
Yeah.
Cup
I
Series?
think yes, and I had a conversation with uh, certainly with a couple of organizations, DEI being one of them, but that the the issue for me was getting those opportunities into my 40s and having to give up, the sports car racing. I didn't want to do that. It was, we were, in the early days, sort of the early 2000s when there was a couple of opportunities to come up to do Cup full time. We were just starting to win with the Corvette, and I was really invested in that. I loved working with all the crew at Pratt Miller, and we started out with the Corvette Racing program, and from the ground up, it was the first test that I went to. It was Gary Pratt and four other guys, one engine guy, John Rice from K-Tech, and then it has grown into this giant machine that you see today, the Pratt and Miller organization. So and the success that Corvette Racing has had. So to be, to give that up, I wasn't prepared to do it. So it was,
Sure.
I'm really, really proud and privileged to have been part of a number of the first for Corvette, a Rolex 24 win, Le Mans class win. The Rolex one, the Rolex 24 Daytona was overall in 2001. So first
Yeah.
championships and 100 and some wins later, here we are, 25 years,
Yeah.
26 years later.
When you were coming along, there was no such thing as sim racing. There was no such thing as iRacing or anything
No,
like that.
no.
To me, as someone who raced many years ago, never had that opportunity, it seems like this shortens the learning curve. For if you have a lot of talent, it can get you there a lot quicker.
Well, it's just a different process. When I was, in the cutting my teeth, what I did was, yes, I walked the track. I also studied video, and it's not a sim, but you did your homework, so that you showed up prepared. So, and I don't think I was any less prepared. It's just different. It's a different time. You can certainly, I'm getting a blast of sunshine here. Um, the the sim work is helpful for sure. But at the end of the day, the difference between the sim and reality is what you feel here in your hands and what you feel in your butt. And you don't necessarily get that yet in simulator. It's a much more of a visual exercise. I know they're getting better, and I'm sure but it'll never replace the that important feel that connects you with your hands and your butt to the four tires on the ground.
Yeah, there's no substitute for seat time when it comes down to it, right?
No.
What is the one accomplishment that you're the most proud of in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, but when I look at the from on the Corvette Racing side of the house, when it was proposed to me in the fall of '97 that when I sat down with my contract was up, and I sat down with Herb Fischel and Joe Negri who were the head of GM Racing back then, and they talked about, we're going to take a Corvette to Le Mans, and okay, I'm in. And we had our first testing in the fall of '97, and then tested throughout the entire '98 season. Didn't debut, which was a tall order. Our first race with Corvette Racing and the Pratt Miller team was the 1999 Rolex 24 Daytona. So jumping in with both feet. But I would say the 2001 was really the breakout year, and winning the Rolex 24 at Daytona in 2001, having both Dale Sr., Dale Jr. as part of the Corvette team at that event was spectacular, and as in the words of former teammate Kelly Collins, makes for great rocking share equity, and then our class win at Le Mans in 2001. That I to this day remember at the end of the Le Mans race in 2001, and it was miserable weather. However, I've never seen Herb Fischel smile that big and for that long. Because that was the goal, and he'd been, he and the team at GM Racing back then had been working for years. Doug Feehan was involved with that as well. And getting the pieces together to create a team and tackle arguably one of the biggest races in the world.
Have you ever been intimidated by a racetrack? I mean, the two times I worked at Le Mans, 01 and 02, I looked at the Mulsanne and I thought, okay, now I know why everybody talks about this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, trying to think of myself driving one of those cars, I would have been intimidated by that, no question. Did any of that seep into you and you say, well, I really got into something here?
No, I think if that's the case, it's probably time to hang it up. But no, there's a difference between intimidating and being respectful. For sure, the Le Mans was a huge challenge, and one of the most enjoyable tracks for me to drive on. Just the era that I was on didn't have. We had the straight for a while. It was for the first few years we had the straight run under the Dunlop Bridge down into the S's. And then about mid 2000s they created a bit of a left-right combination there to accommodate the short track for motorcycles. Right. There was not a lot of runoff area at the kink before Indy. hauling ass through the Porsche curves, and it was, asphalt, curb, a few feet of grass, and guardrail, both sides, and you're absolutely hauling ass through the Porsche curves, but no, you had to do your homework, but absolutely loved it. It was Again, I think it required some level of respect, and in areas where it was high speed and no room for error, for sure. But it was a huge challenge, and just I loved it.
Yeah, and good reason to love a place like that too, with all the history that is embodied at the circuit there in Le Mans. It's an incredible place to go to, for sure.
At my current age, I will say it now. It scares me.
I can understand. The great Ron Fellows is our guest on RaceLine. Before I let you go, it's wonderful to spend some time with you, and I really appreciate it. Got to ask you the question.
I just love your voice, Rick.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's served me well for a long time.
Yes, it has.
Back to Watkins Glen in NASCAR. Yeah. I remember the story. If you can fill in the blanks and tell our viewers what happened. You qualified really well. You told me I thought it was a cup race. You told me a truck race. You missed the drivers' meeting. How did that all transpire?
Conspiracy? Yeah, no. I think it was a communication error. There was another race where and that would have been with Nemco, and working with Brian Patty. I love working with Brian Patty and Joe Nemechek and his team. There was where we, again, points were, back then there were generally too many, whether it was a truck series, the Busch / Nationwide Cup, there were generally too many cars. So if you didn't go fast enough, you didn't make the race.
Yeah.
And this particular truck race, and I think it may have been 2000. We had Brian had built a new truck, and it was awesome. And into the bus stop in qualifying, broke the brake pedal.
Oh.
And never set a time. So
hard to drive them there if you don't have a brake pedal, I'm sure.
Yeah. I got just enough speed scrubbed off to be able to sail through the escape road and then still make turn 5 without going off and crashing. But we didn't set a time. And so we essentially weren't in the race. The 87 was not in the race. And so we ended up working a deal with, I can't remember the guy's name, and I apologize, but it was truck number 7. We essentially rented a truck that made it in on points. So it was near the back.
Yeah.
So Brian and the crew put our engine and transmission in the thing and prepped it, and it was good enough. And that one I remember because it was an adventure. Radios didn't work. I came down pit lane once when I shouldn't have, but we ended up third. So that was
in your limited starts in the truck series. The win was 99, the one you just described. Okay. And you had 2 wins in only 15 starts, and you had 5 top 10s in 15 starts, and that's a terrific testimony to the kind of driver you always were.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and again, I had some great opportunities right through, with the Busch Series trucks, Craftsman Truck Series, and certainly with Cup, and really enjoyed that. It's funny that the Cup opportunity with DEI was a result of the relationship with the Earnhardts at the Rolex 24 Daytona in 2001.
Yeah.
And when Steve Park got hurt in 2003, I got the call from Ty Norris, and he basically said, "Hey, we'd love for you to drive the Pennzoil car at Sonoma Watkins Glen. Senior always wanted you to drive one of his cars, and are you interested?" And once I wiped the tears away, of course I'm going to do that. It was but it was we had and then it carried. I did a number of races for for DEI, and another. And it's one of the regrets I have is we did not get a win. We came close a few times. Even the 2003 race at Sonoma, that one got away too. We had that one pretty well under control. And anyway, we can go back and look.
One final thing: you're starting a race team. You're a team owner now. What 4 drivers do you hire to go and win a Cup championship?
4 drivers?
4 drivers. You have enough funding to have a 4-car team starting next year in Daytona. Yeah.
Wow. How about just 2? That sounds like way too much work.
Okay, Rick. 2 if you want.
Okay. Wow, that's a really good one. Kyle Larson. Well,
can't argue with that.
No. Christopher Bell. He's a top-notch talent as well. But it's certainly on the Hendrick side of the house, it's just star-studded. You can take Kyle, Byron, Chase Hill, just take over Hendrick Motorsport. There you go. I'll take those, at least 3 of those.
Let me get Mr. H on the line and see what he has to say about that. Right? you can get Herb Fischel to make that call, man.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for making time for us. All the best to your family,
Anytime.
to Sam as he works on his driving career, and I hope I get to see you in person before too many more moons go by.
And by the way, our NASCAR Canada team, I'm just the spotter. My wife is a team owner.
Well, Linda's always been there, I know, and I'm sure she's doing a better job than you would at that, probably, right?
Oh yeah. She hides the checkbook. Yes. Awesome.
Great to see you. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks for it's been great, Rick. Great to catch up.
Same here, Ron. Ron Fellows joining us today on RaceLine.